morning all. Um, I'm sorry I didn't do a Christmas special Doctor Who episode review, but I still have yet to watch the Christmas special because I'm way behind. But we're on to more important and exciting pressing news, people. Sherlock Season 2 came out this morning. That's right, well, this evening, but this morning here because it's Australia. And wow, was it not just mind-blowingly beautiful? The filming is so incredible. The transitions, I can't even comprehend. It's just taking TV shows to an unprecedented level of genius. It's sort of up there with Pushing Daisies in the fact that it's so beautiful and that if you paused it at any point you'd have almost a stunning portrait. And it combines like movie-like elements because it has those slow motion action scenes. It was almost like Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes films meet the BBC series. It really came together. It's certainly got its own identity now and its own branding. It feels 100% grown into its own person. And I feel like the writers have. And I mean, Sherlock and John have certainly grown into their own dynamics. You could see that they're much more at ease around each other and they interweave, and Mrs. Hudson, John, and Sherlock work as like a unit. They walk around each other, they don't stumble over things, they know exactly sort of what each other's going to do and say, and they're not surprised by any of the elements that are sort of going on, like a man turning up in the apartment, like passing out and stuff like that. They're just very much, what do you call it, neutralized? No, not even neutralized, just adjusted, well adjusted I suppose, to their unique living situation. And the writing was fantastic. The opening scene with the pool, really? That was just the biggest troll ever from Moffat. I mean, come on. Like, staying alive, playing on the phone. Wow, I definitely did not see that coming. That was interesting. Yes, I'm going to go with interesting for that. And I made sure that before this season started, I read all the cases that I needed to read from the Arthur Conan Doyle series before watching this. So I read A Scandal in Bohemia not 2 days ago, and I was really pleased with how they handled Irene Adler. I thought she was definitely her own woman. She was powerful, she was strong, she was a well-developed character. I mean, if you actually think about it, the show did Irene Adler a lot more justice than ACD really did, because she's just a blip in this. She's like, what, 20 pages at best of a story in this long stack of cases. And sure, she was the woman who undermined Holmes, and that makes her very remarkable, but she didn't have a presence, really. She was just this actress who was very intelligent and got her own way, and kudos to her for that. But this Irene Adler, she wasn't over-sexualized. For someone who's a dominatrix, that could have gone very wrong in modern TV. They could have done that very tastelessly, but instead, no, she felt very comfortable and confident in her skin, and she was completely in control, and you felt that, and she was never sort of undermined. I mean, yes, Sherlock made a derogatory comment at some point about how she's paid to get her kid off, but Sherlock makes derogatory comments about everything to everyone all the time, so it wasn't like it was a specific attack on her. It was just Sherlock being Sherlock. And even John handled himself rather well around it. Like, the writing around her, surrounding her, and her position in society and the government was really well handled. And I like the fact that, you know, everyone was sort of worried that Sherlock was going to sort of, I don't know, suddenly jump her bones or something. Everyone was getting all sorts of tizzy about it, but they handled it really well. It was definitely intellectual sexual tension, if that even makes any sense. And yeah, it was, I don't even know how to describe that. Definitely well written. Like, it played out perfectly, with her still trying to constantly one-up Sherlock, but her emotion, not even her emotions, I would say. Well, yeah, fundamental emotions, I suppose, gave her away in the end, because she, you know, sort of fell for Sherlock in her own special way, and Sherlock sort of pretended like he didn't have emotions either, but it was very clear that he did, especially by the end of it. But the difference is, even though Sherlock acts or comes across as being emotionally voided or flawed in many ways, he does have those emotions. Like, he cares for John, he needs John on a very, just a very basic need for John, just someone to talk to and someone to understand him, and not call him crazy every 2 seconds, or put him down like Mycroft does. And Mrs. Hudson is like the mother that he never had, so they're very much needed in his life, but they also leave him open to weaknesses. But he sort of tries to play that, like, those weaknesses are still to his advantage somehow. Like, Mrs. Hudson got kidnapped, but he was like, she doesn't need to go away, she's got this sorted, I only picked the strong ones, sort of thing. And he knew that. So I think that as much as Irene thought that she was seducing Sherlock, I do believe that Sherlock was just as equally trying to seduce her, or like succeeding in seducing her on an intellectual level, to be more specific, so that he would eventually one-up her regardless, which is a bit different from the book. I mean, because she does indeed succeed in sort of outsmarting Sherlock, but I mean, she did it as well in this as well. So it was really just really well handled, and I was very happy with how they made the transition from that book to the film. The other fantastic thing in this episode was the interaction between Mycroft and Sherlock. It sort of managed to perfectly summarize their life leading up to that point, without actually showing us flashbacks to their childhood and be like, look, baby Mycroft, oh look, baby Sherlock. You could feel this tension and this brotherly hatred, but at the same time this brotherly love. Like, the bond was there when they were standing in the morgue, and he's like, do you ever wonder if there's something wrong with us? And that's just so heartbreaking and so perfectly apt as well to ask, because they're just like, look at them crying like a normal human being, and I can clearly sense that they're very different from the rest of society, but they don't really let them that stop them. They've sort of used their uniqueness to their advantage, and they realize that it leaves them very much isolated. I mean, Mycroft spent Christmas alone, sitting by a fireplace, and that's absolutely heartbreaking, but also sort of what comes with the position that he's chosen to take in society, I guess. And it was just amazing to see Mycroft also feel unsure and uncertain of things when he was sitting at that table and clearly being worried, and you start to worry when you know that Mycroft Holmes is worried. Like it's very unsettling. They just handled everything really well. So it is an absolutely remarkable TV show, and if you're watching this video and you haven't watched the previous season, I strongly suggest that you go do that. And more importantly, if you are watching this series and you haven't watched the other one and you haven't read the books, I think it's a lovely little thing to have going on as well. It just really helps to make you appreciate it on another level. I mean, you don't have to read the Arthur Conan Doyle stories, but it really is a fun little thing to see when they make direct references or use a direct quote. And like in the car, when Sherlock said, once again, John, you see but you don't observe, or something very similar to that, is very much what is constantly said by the Sherlock Holmes of the Arthur Conan Doyle series. And so that's a little moment of like, yes, well done to you keeping the canon going. So yeah, I mean, I could rant for hours, goodness knows I could, but I think I've pretty much covered all that I wanted to say. The dynamics were fantastic, the graphics were astounding, the cast was brilliant, and basically Sherlock is paving the way to a new level of TV shows. Absolutely, it's phenomenal. So my hat's off to you. I don't have a hat on, but invisible hat off to you. Everyone involved in that show. And I will probably be making another video next week if I'm not too tired. Alright, toodles.